Magambata, and we welcome you. Namhlanje we have a special guest, Shai, who is going to share with us her experiences, what used to be like, what happened, and what is it like now. So, buckle up, we're going to have fun. Shai, how are you?
I'm well, thanks, Manga. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you for asking.
Good.
Can you please kindly tell our viewers who Shai is and what Shai does?
I'm Shai, I'm a recovering addict. I work at Tranquility as a counsellor. Also a full-time mom, and love what I'm doing. I enjoy being a counsellor, I enjoy being a mom. I'm your regular person, basically.
Okay, quite interesting. So you spoke of you being a counsellor, which means do counsellors, most of them, do they have to have experiences with alcohol or drugs in order to qualify?
I was actually a patient at Tranquility in 2015. The one thing that helped me the most was that my counsellor and the other counsellors were recovering addicts as well.
Great.
It was easy to relate to them because they had literally been where I have been.
Right.
And in that sense, the help that they were providing me was genuine out of their experience. It wasn't just textbook or what they had heard from another person. They've been through the trauma, they've been through the pain, and they were freely able to help me on the exact same level.
I guess, okay.
Yes.
I guess experience is a good teacher.
Absolutely.
Now please tell us a bit about you are a recovering addict, right?
Yes.
Like, tell us, how did it start and what were you using? What is it that you were getting from using? The pain that you inflicted in you and your loved ones.
So my drug of choice is prescription pills, Schedule 5 sleeping medication, Stilnox. It had started off with me using it for insomnia at the beginning. So I took it religiously, just one every night. But as it continued, I started abusing the pills eventually. So there was a specific high that you would get from not sleeping when you take the pill. And it would make you euphoric, it would make you feel sociable. You didn't have the low self-esteem anymore. Your pride wasn't affected. You felt like you were able to mingle with people, to be part of society, to go to work. There were simple things that I was able to do a lot more freely when I was high, rather than me being burdened with the problems that I had that were running in my mind. So I started using these pills and abusing them to a point where I was using 60 a day, which made me go to different doctors, different pharmacies. I had to source medication. There were pharmacies that would sell it to me as long as we gave them extra money, so that helped my addiction to escalate.
Okay, so you spoke of, your intentions were good. At first you just wanted to be able to sleep at
Absolutely.
night, right? Then, did you feel like, those pills were now solving part of the problems that you might have had at the present moment besides sleeping?
Well, at that point, I felt that it was helping me a lot because I wouldn't want to be out of the house if I hadn't taken those pills. Now, in hindsight, when I look at it, the reality was that it was giving me a very short-term, temporary fix. I would take it, and 2 hours later, I would have to take another one. And the reality of when we abuse drugs or alcohol, we take a specific amount, and a few minutes later, we take more. Eventually, you forget how much you have taken, and your mind says, "Oh, I haven't taken my pill. I should rather take 2 now instead."
So some of the would you sometimes get some of the prescription without, some of the medication without the doctor's script?
Yes. Definitely.
As long as
there were little pharmacies that not your Medi-Rights or whatever, the little pharmacies, local pharmacies, that if you had paid extra money, you don't need a script to get it.
So are there certain medication you could get arrested for are there certain medication you could actually get arrested for, in possession of certain medication without the prescription?
Considering the bulk that I would have been buying at that time, definitely.
Wow.
Definitely. And if you're looking at pharmacies, we're not only looking at the pharmacies and the doctors, you can get this on the black market as well. A dealer could sell you the same drugs that you're taking, regardless of it being a prescription medication.
So for people who don't know, I'm learning so much from you. So you spoke of Schedule 5, right?
Yes.
What is, can you
A Schedule 5 means that you can't get this medication without a doctor's script. So over the counter you can go and you can get your Panados and your Disprins,
Right.
etc.
Yeah,
But a Schedule 5 medication you cannot be given without a doctor's script.
And that's exactly what you edited.
Absolutely. So I would go to different doctors to get scripts from them. I would go to different pharmacies to try and get my medication. When it came to a point where they would say to me, I think you might have a problem.
Right.
Could we assist you by giving you something herbal, etc.? Then I had sourced the small pharmacies where I could get more.
So somewhere I've seen Shai, pack of pills, and it says, I think something like, don't use more than 10 days. If so, consult your DR. Didn't that scare you? Didn't that affect you?
Not at all. Here's the thing. On the package it says don't use for more than 10 days. But there's doctors that give you a 6-month repeat script. Wow. I had started off with a doctor who had given me a 6-month script. And within the time of me starting to abuse it, I would phone, I think 2 days after getting the script and say, hi, I've managed to lose my script. Is it possible that I can get another? And I would immediately get another script as long as I paid the 120 Rand. And it continued from there for many years. I think I abused these pills for 3 years.
So that's the progression of this disease. So I just want to understand something. At first you use those pills just to be able to sleep at night. But what other pills have you used besides sleeping tablets?
Those were the ones that I used.
Sleeping tablets?
Yes.
So sleeping tablets are also able to numb the pain? Oh.
Absolutely. So they are also, the type of pill that I was taking was also a muscle relaxant. So it was also making me calm.
Oh, yes.
So obviously when we are in the middle of turmoil, we are extremely panicky, anxiety prone. Right. But I was now calm, I was able to handle situations. Once I had passed that invisible line of needing the pill for sleeping, and now I needed it to function. Because eventually I couldn't wake up without taking a sleeping pill.
Wait, so you're going to tell me you would wake up and you'd be looking for a sleeping pill?
It would always be on my bedside. Because as soon as I woke up, obviously all of the turmoil, anxiety, panic, etc. would rush back. I immediately needed something to calm down. I would take the pill, and a few minutes later would have a sense of relief, and then I could start my day. I had become dependent on it.
Right. So when you take those pills, when you wake up, it means that for the rest of the day you'll also be sleepy or you'll be numb. I just want to understand the feeling. For the rest of the day, I would be functioning. So your body would, wow. So the pills fail to have the effect that it would have on normal people.
Absolutely.
You would function
because you would ride the sleepiness on that pill, and then you would become more focused, more euphoric, more sociable, I would say, and more comfortable with yourself.
Wasn't a point in life where maybe you were scared that you would take these pills and maybe chances are you would never wake up the next morning because this is sleeping pills?
Unfortunately, that was my hope. It came to a point that is exactly why I continued using. There were days when I would take it and just say, God, please just let this be the last day I'm done. It was not about the rat race of getting the pill.
Right.
It was what I had been going through in my personal life. We go through things from childhood, adolescence, adulthood, that we aren't able to face life on life terms. The reality, absolutely. And you store, and those emotions and those memories and those videos that we play in our mind constantly torment us. And hence, the abuse had gotten so bad with the pills that it came to a point where I was literally fed up. I had enough.
So chances are for addicts, Shai, you're telling us that there's always underlying issues.
There's no reason why we would be abusing pills or drugs or alcohol. Reality is prescription pills abuse is drug addiction. Definitely. As well. There's no reason for us to be using it if we aren't abusing it, if we aren't hiding something, if we aren't... Look, I was taking prescription pills, sleeping pills as my drug of choice, right? It's no different than anyone taking crystal meth, cocaine, weed, whatever else is on the market, lean, etc.
Yes.
It's no different than any other drug, taking any other drug out there, abusing any other drug out there, like Nelpe, crystal meth, cocaine, weed, lean, codeine, whatever it may be. The reality is, with working with patients as well as with working with myself, it comes from a form of trauma. It comes from a form of anxiety, a form of panic, where you aren't able to deal with what's going on within you. You don't have the avenues as an outlet. So you store and you are in constant turmoil. And the drug is literally just the escape. The problem was not the pill. The problem was me, what I was going through. But that pill helped me to escape the tormenting reality I was living.
You know, Shai, you one of the privileged people, you know, to actually get to acknowledge what you're telling us, and you decided that, you know what, this needs to stop. Because I'm thinking that how many people are out there, and yet because of the, you know, it's a legal drug, get it over the counter, they probably think, no, this is not a problem.
Yes.
People who are not aware that they are now using because there are certain issues they are afraid that maybe they are afraid to face. That what would you tell or what would you say to people who are using and, you know, they are not aware that this could lead to a progression of this disease of the addiction and could spiral their life out of control?
I think it's easy to say we are not aware. That is actually our scapegoat, to be honest. If I have this desperation to cut corners, to dark dive, do the wrong thing to get my hands on those pills, I have a problem. If I am taking more than one a night, I have a problem. I knew I had a problem. The only difference was that I had known that I had a problem. I didn't know how to get out of it. The reality was I didn't know much about rehabs. I wasn't educated about it. I hadn't educated myself about it. I knew I went on to Google to check how to control my addiction, how to get help with it. Instead, I had learned how other people were able to access the drugs without scripts. Hence, I had gone to little pharmacies, etc., etc.
Is it possible that, they say repetition confirms, is it possible that even though we don't have any physical pain, but our minds can create one and it lead us to our painkillers?
Absolutely. It's not, the reality is there's no pain, but we're saying that there is.
Because we want to free people.
We are, as addicts and alcoholics in our active addictive state, we are people that look for a reason to use. If the sun had to shine this morning, yay, I need to have a pill. If the sun was not there today, yay, I need a pill. If you're celebrating something, yay, I need to celebrate, I need to use. The same with drugs as well, you know. Alcohol also. Celebrating something, you need a drink. Oh God, life's so bad, I need a drink. We would find anything as a reason to use. We are extremely, we don't care about ourselves at those points.
So for the viewers back at home, probably they might be watching this and say, you know, I do take medication, painkillers, you know, but how do I know that now I've, you know, went overboard or that rather I'm an addict, you know? So how can you tell our viewers that, you know, self-awareness, you know, to say, maybe if I use 1 pack per week, might be an addict, or how do you determine that you're now having a serious problem with pharmaceuticals?
Real life slips away. Our normal daily life, which would require waking up, doing what we're supposed to be doing, going to work, taking care of kids, going to school, dropping kids off at school, etc. If it comes to a point that while I am doing those things, my mind is on, my pills are at home, my pills are in my bag, I need to pop another. You understand? There's no exact reason for me to want to do it, but my mind is constantly focused on using. My mind is not focusing on when the kids get home, I'm going to have a picnic with them, or I would love to take my nieces and nephews out to a movie. You start missing out on real life while you're in the middle of it. You aren't able to make breakfast for your kids sometimes. Maybe you still stay in bed. Maybe you forget to take them to school. Maybe you forget to pick them up from school. Or maybe you drive high to go and pick them up and there's an accident.
It actually does get to that point.
Absolutely.
Then you see, this is a problem because I can, sitting here thinking that most people, we have a very obscure way of looking at what addiction is.
Yes.
And I can imagine that we're only focusing on people using inyaobe, crystal meth, but there's a lot of people, especially older women, especially older guys who are using the medication. And now it makes sense that they co-depend on it subconsciously so.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you look at prescription medication, you're finding it a lot more amongst women. A lot more amongst the elder women, not really the younger girls. Yes, I can tell you I've had many surgeries, etc. But I cannot tell you that my abuse had started because of my health being bad. Not at all. At this point, I've been triggered. Like, I had a thyroidectomy in December. And when I was done with the surgery, the nurses would bring your medication before you go to sleep. And they had brought my drug of choice, Stilnox, for me to take. There was a moment where I looked at it and I thought, well, if I take it tonight, it's because of my health. I'm supposed to be taking it. The nurses will tell you, you have to take it. It's been prescribed for you. And I thought to myself, I played the movie to the end in my mind. I was like, if I take it now, I get away with it. If I take another one tomorrow, I'm going to be in hospital for about 3-4 days. I'll get away with it. But what's going to happen when I get out? I'm going to have to start ducking and diving, lying to my husband, lying to my parents, going to a different pharmacy, different doctor, hiding and using, and spiraling entirely out of control again. How would I ever be able to help another person? How would I be able to consciously help my patients if I'm not being honest with myself? And at that very moment, I phoned my husband and I said, please, when you come to see me in the morning, there's a pill that's kept in the side drawer. Please, can you take it away? Throw it away.
This information is very helpful. When you think about this, Shai, that our youth is now suffering from nicotine.
Yes.
Which is the very same thing. Get it from our pharmaceuticals also.
Absolutely.
And now I understand that they also see people with the disease of addiction. Because it's not like they're just looking to have fun and drinking, but there's some other underlying issues they can't face on a sober mind or a sober state.
And I like so much what you just said. We are born with the gene of addiction. It is a disease that we have, just like you have diabetes, cancer. It's not a fault upon a person that they are an addict. However, the choice to continue using after you've received help, there sits the problem. But before that, if you have come in or you've realized you've got a problem and come in for help, and you take the help wholeheartedly, the only thing is that we need to follow our 5 pillars, the 12 steps of recovery. That's it. It's not that much required from us. It's difficult, yes, but if you really are interested in doing it for yourself, you will. It's a personal choice.
So, Shai, when you first started, didn't you have that moment where you would compare your drug with other drugs and think that you're better off?
Absolutely. The day that I walked in as a patient, there was a counsellor that was sitting outside, and the counsellor said, what is your drug of choice, because you look well? And I said, prescription pills, sleeping pills. And they were like, oh, okay. And then I started hearing, okay, weed, cocaine, etc., etc. And I looked around and I was like, oh, well, I'm not as bad as that. The reality was, when I had to go to the nurse for the detox medication, prescription pill medication, the detox for it is stronger than heroin.
Wow.
And I was not even taking heroin.
Wow.
That is how fatal prescription pill addiction is.
And tell us about the withdrawals from the medication.
I didn't have the luxury of going through detox in rehab. So I had withdrawn at home. I had withdrawals at home. I was at home for a week before I came into treatment. That is one of the major reasons why I would never consider going back to any type of mind-altering substance. My body was shaky. I was throwing up. There was no food in my system. I wasn't able to eat. I remember that my grandmom needed to go to Lancet for a blood test, which she had to go very often for. And she asked me to please fill in her form one of the mornings. I couldn't even write. My hands were so shaky that I couldn't write or fill her form for her that day. But I'd gone through, it felt like there was boiling water going into my head. That's how bad the withdrawals were.
I can imagine.
I had no detox at all. When I came into treatment, I was a week clean from my drug of choice.
So while going through that withdrawals, what was going through your mind?
Darling, there's not much that could go through your mind at that time. It's more about what you're feeling. You know, you're feeling weak, you're feeling shaky, you're feeling panicky. The one thing that you feel during withdrawal stage without getting help from the treatment center or getting help medically properly is like you basically want to run away from yourself.
One of the reasons I'm asking this is because I think I know for a fact that, when you're going through withdrawals, at the back of your mind, if I can have my pills, I'll become okay.
I knew I couldn't get my pills. I knew for a fact there was no chance I could have gotten my pills. Only I would have known which pharmacy to go to. Only I would have known where to source it from. Even my family wasn't aware of exactly which pill I was using.
But then you decided not to go and look for a drug.
I couldn't. I was kept at home. My car was taken away. Everything was taken away. That was it.
Oh, wow. Whew, quite interesting. Okay, so Shai, tell me, if you had to, talk to the young ones in terms of, because now they're using, what do you call those people? Lean, and what else? There's this other pills that young ones. Xanax. What do they do to your body? They call it, and they have a slang name for it, Xano.
So if you were to go onto YouTube and type in the truth about drugs, there is actually a long video on every single drug, how it started, what happened when they were abusing it, and how they got help. If you look at the reality of how some of them started, it was, my friends were doing it and I decided to take one. And then I was hooked. And at the moment, I think our youngsters have so much of peer pressure, apart from that also a sense of wanting to belong. Basic instincts. They want to be a part of a group. They want to be acknowledged in some way. I think sometimes us as parents also have a very, very busy lifestyle. We don't have the time to actually emotionally bond with our children. We're there for the homework, for the food, for the clothes, for the transport. But there was a patient of mine that said this, and I couldn't agree with him more. He said when he was growing up, they had spoken about everything within their home, but the one thing was that nobody spoke about drugs, the effects of it, and what it could do to you. Now that we are doing these outreach programs as Tranquility as well, which is so brilliant, we are educating families, areas, hospitals, schools, institutions about drugs, about alcohol, about the disease of addiction. At least now we can ask for our parents, our elders, to start talking about these things within the home. It should be a topic.
A normal talk.
Yes, it should be a topic.
Yeah, because now they ended up experimenting with these things because they've never had a chance to talk to their elders about the dangers or what it can do to them. I think that's a very good point. That as parents, we need to have enough knowledge, even though it's not necessarily enough, but we need to have that knowledge so that you could inform and our loved ones. No, I like that one, Shai. So, is there anything we haven't covered that you want to say before we close out?
I think especially when it comes to our youth as well as our elders, absolutely everybody out there, there's many ways in which we can enable an addict, right? If we are constantly going to go, poor baby, it's going to be okay, I'm going to take care of your problems, everything's going to be fine. We are going to continuously enable that person. But tough love is something that works. No parent wants to give tough love to their child. However, if you are to give tough love, you will be saving your child's life. The other thing is that we also worry too much about what community is going to say. What are people going to say? Oh my God, my daughter's going to rehab. The reality is you don't bring her in, we could be burying her tomorrow. Addiction is a disease. Alcoholism is a disease. Just like we have other medications out there, the 12 steps are the medication for us. Give us a chance to give that child a chance first. Try and fail rather than not try at all. But the reality is there's so many instances where try and we've succeeded.
Wow.
And that's important.
Wow. Stigma kills before a person is being killed by drugs.
Absolutely. We cannot worry about what anyone else's judgment is going to be in our lives. It's all about the child and saving a life.
Right. And what was your favorite part of this episode?
Me being here.
And
wow. Spending time with you.
I love it. Okay. And tell me, Shai, if you had the attention of the world for 5 minutes, what would you say to them?
Live, love, and laugh. Literally. Be a lot lighter with yourself. There's no need to take life so seriously. We've been blessed with so many amazing things. Live in your home, enjoy your children, love your spouse, start loving life again. And the most importantly, connect with your higher power. Wow. Because as much love as we can have in the world, our higher power thought we were perfect enough to make us each individually unique in his love and beauty. So we are so loved by our higher power. We need to continuously connect with him and share that with the world, because it's been given so freely to us. We should be giving it freely to others as well.
Your final thought that you want to leave our listeners with?
Take that next step. 100% take the next step. It is going to be extremely scary. It was scary for me when I decided to take the next step. I had assistance. Some people might not. If you need more information about it, call us. We'll be able to assist you with referral numbers, etc. But don't stay in the turmoil any longer. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to be loved. And we're here to help you with that. You deserve a good future. You deserve to live life. Stop existing. Start living. And we're here to help you do that.
To our listeners, I think this was very informative episode. That we need to reach out and ask for help wherever we can. And most importantly, I think Shai made us aware of prescription medication becoming and us becoming addicted to pharmaceuticals. So I think it's very important that we understand who we are, and the knowledge of self is very important, because I'm thinking a lot of people are using but they're not aware that now they've set themselves for a trap, and it's a progressive illness. It doesn't get better but it gets worse. So thank you very much and hope to see you next time. Peace.